Hello everybody. In today's episode we will be reviewing the two cameras I got here, the Sony a6300 and the Canon 80D. They're not much of a new cameras, but they still remain in the similar price point, and if you're in this budget looking for a camera like this, both of these cameras are great cameras, but each of them have their limitation. The Canon camera is a DSLR, digital single lens reflex. The Sony, on the other hand, is a mirrorless camera. The Canon uses the EFS mount system and the Sony uses the E-mount system, which is, if you already have EFS mount lenses, the Canon could be a better option for you. But if you're just starting your adventure, in my opinion, the Canon is a little bit limiting because EFS lenses only work on the EFS Canon body. I don't think the lenses work on full frame bodies, which is the E-mount lenses on the Sony. You could buy professional full frame E-mount lenses or just say PSC lenses, mount them to the Sony, and anytime you want to upgrade your camera to a full frame camera, at that time, you can still use all of your lenses on a full frame body, the E-mount and the full frame E-mount lenses. Both of them have a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor, although the Canon sensor is a tiny bit smaller because it has a crop factor of 1.6, Sony has a 1.5 crop factor. So that's, for example, a 50mm lens on the APS-C sensors. On Canon would give you an equivalent 80mm to full frame. On the Sony, it would give you 75mm equivalent. The Canon, unfortunately, can only record in 1080p video. The Sony can record in 4K up to 30 frames per second video. So if you're looking to get the best quality video you possibly can, the Sony here is the winner in this area. The Canon has an optical viewfinder. That means when you look through the optical viewfinder, you see the optical image coming in through the lens, bouncing off in the mirror, and into the viewfinder. On the Sony, you got an electronic viewfinder. That is, it's a little tiny TV that displays what the camera is looking at. Also, on the other side, I will give a plus to the Canon for having a flip screen that when you record yourself, you can see yourself in the screen. That's a big plus. If you're setting up your recording spot and you want to have a view of how you look like without going back and forth recording yourself in small clips to see how you're standing and all that, the Canon is good in that area. And also the Canon has a touch screen on it where you can go through the settings and everything using your finger. The Sony, on the other hand, only has a tilt screen that goes up and down. You don't see yourself when you're vlogging yourself, unfortunately. And it also doesn't have a touch screen. That's the minus part for the Sony. Personally, for me, the touch screen annoys me a little bit because I keep looking into the touch screen instead of looking into the lens. That's why I never set up a camera with a flip screen. I always record myself, a test record. Well, in the studio it's easier, but when I'm outside, I do a little sample recording, check it out, and if it's all good, that means that setup is perfect. And in vlogging, as long as the lens is directed at you, you will be in frame. Unless you zoom in too closely and record for a half an hour and then notice that you were zoomed in too closely and you recorded your nose for the half an hour. Well, things like that do happen. The Canon can do 7 frames per second in photo mode. The Sony can do 11 frames a second in photo mode. This is how 7 frames a second sound like. And we got the buffer filled up. And this is how 11 frames per second sound like. And we got the buffer filled up also. Where the Canon shines a little bit more also is the battery can last for 960 photos, whereas on the Sony it is only said to last for about 450 photos. But the Canon is 730 grams and the Sony is only 400 grams, and that's body only. So the Canon is a lot bigger camera. So next we will go outside and do some video footage test. Check the autofocus, how fast that works. Both of these cameras can only record in 30 minutes straight. That's the time limits they got. After that, you gotta record all over again. Sony, you can read online that they have overheating issues. For me, I have never overheated my Sony, so I don't have to worry about that. That's something you gotta keep in mind. And for vloggers and YouTubers and all that, both of them have microphone inputs, so you can plug in your own microphone. On the first test outside, my son walks towards the camera. You got the Sony a6300 on the left recording in 4K and Canon 80D on the right recording in 1080p. Both are recording in their highest quality on automatic settings on the standard picture profile. During editing on a 30 frames per second timeline, the Sony took 5 frames to focus, while at the same time, since the Sony started focusing, Canon started focusing at about 26 frames later, but also it took it 5 frames to finish focusing. But Canon was always 1 second slower in catching a focus than the Sony in this test. Also, I noticed that the Canon's quality really don't compare to the Sony. So let's get back to the studio. In this test, you can see that the rolling shutter on the Canon is a lot better than the rolling shutter on the Sony. Back to the studio now. So hope you liked the comparison. I hope I helped you decide which camera is best for you. And if you want a link to see any of these cameras, it will be down in the description under the video. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe and hit the bell button to get notified when the next video comes out. And leave a comment down below, what cameras would you like me to review, to compare, and I'll try getting my hands on that to get it done for you. So, thank you for watching and take care.